everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven,
My name is Jerry.
and we are here to continue our draft profile series. Today's going to be a little different. We're not going to be doing a single player. By the way, just real quick, for those podcast listeners, the Will Levis profile that we did not make it onto the podcast feed. I had some issue with the audio. I just couldn't get it up. So if you want that, go check it out on YouTube. It is there, but it didn't make it to the podcast feed. So apologies for that to the podcast listeners.
Wish
This
I'd have
one will
known. I
make
could
it.
have. I was gonna say I could have cut the audio from the video, but
Yeah. Well, it didn't. It didn't happen. So this one will make the podcast feed. We are going to be talking about wide receivers. We're going to try to keep it to the day two wide receivers, so second
Yeah.
or third round guys. But hey, even though the Panthers did some moves in the offseason to bring in some wide receivers, I don't think, the future of the position
oh no,
was
it's
brought in this offseason. So
no. And
yeah.
this is something I kind of brainstormed up after we traded up to number one because we usually do about 10 to 12 guys, but we're gonna look at day two guys. So round 2 and 3 wide receivers. We're not gonna deep dive more as we typically do on these draft profiles. Let us know if you like this format. If not, we could, maybe look at something else. But I think this could work well for where we're sitting at right now.
Yeah, we're just going to do some quick hits here, talk about a few guys that we like, or at least guys that I think will be available, or that Jerry thinks more specifically will be available, because he's the one that put this together. So thank you, Jerry.
And,
But yeah, we'll be just talking about some day two wide receivers. So again, if you like the format, let us know. If you want us to go deeper or talk about some specific guys, in a little more depth, then let us know that too.
yeah. The first guy we're going to talk about is Zay Flowers. I personally don't think he'll be available on day two in the second round. I think he's going in the late first round, but I kept seeing people talk about him falling and everything, so I figured I'd just add him in here. Senior out of Boston College. He's 22 years old, 5'9", 182 pounds, ran at 4.42. Some strengths. He's got a nice twitch up, gets up top gear. He's very fast. He's great at running with the ball in his hands. So after yards, right there.
Yeah.
I personally,
A violent runner, I've heard
Yes.
him called, with the ball in his hands.
he's a playmaker in my opinion. That's why I really just don't see him falling to the
Well,
second.
one of the reasons he could fall is because he's a little small.
Yeah.
He's 5'9", about 180 pounds. Much like Bryce Young, I would believe that he'll put on some weight with muscle. I don't know that he'll get up to even 200 pounds.
No.
But and I don't know that he needs to, really. He's a wide receiver. There's plenty of wide receivers that are sub 200 pounds that are very productive in the league. So I like Zay Flowers. Again, I kind of agree with you. I think he might be gone before 39. But who knows? I mean, there's going to be a run on quarterbacks. There's probably going to be a run on edge guys. It's quite possible that some of these wide receivers fall.
Yeah, and I did notice this when I was going through these wide receivers. There's a lot of smaller wide receivers in this draft. There's not a bunch of like top tier number one guys, in my opinion, from what I've done.
Outside of like the top two.
Yes, like
Yeah.
I see like there's a lot of like smaller, faster, twitchier guys. I think that could benefit us because you could get one of those guys who may not be a number one. Yes, Steve Smith, obviously a number one. But you could get one of these guys who may be a slot/2 guy that can really break things open.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. And again, he played for a pretty bad team in Boston College, so he didn't really get to showcase his talent to the fullest extent. I don't think so. He could be better than he even showed on tape. So, but yeah, I like him to replace maybe the Shy Smith spot that we were hoping that Shy Smith might turn into. I could see Zay Flowers being like a super version of whatever that is.
I honestly, Zay Flowers, I see him as a number 2. I see him, yes, he could go into that slot role and be dynamic in it, but I also see him being able to solve number two. Another negative for him though is he does have some easy drops that are on tape. Hits him on the hands
Yeah,
and drops it.
yeah, and again, that doesn't concern me too much. In the
Oh no.
college, uh, who knows who was thrown to him, what the ball felt like, coming to him. Who knows? But yeah, Zay Flowers, good one to start off on there because I think he's a definite possibility if he's there. Another guy who may or may not be there, Jordan Addison out of USC. That's the University of Southern California, the real USC, as I like to call it. Um, don't email us. Uh, he's another guy that's got some good speed. He's a 4.4 guy, 4.49, but still a 4.4 guy. He's very quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of sudden, as they say. He's got great hands, excellent hands, and he's explosive. And good route runner, explosive after the catch. And he's got some speed downfield. So I like, again, 5'11", 173 is
That
his weight.
smaller than Zay Flowers, who is 2
Yeah.
inches tall. So now weakness is obviously he's smaller.
Yeah.
He's not a big guy, obviously at 173. I mean, we said Bryce Young at 184, 5'10" was small, but
Well, and again, that's
different position.
Quarterback small is much different than wide receiver. So,
Sure.
but 173 that's slight. That's light.
Now, with someone like Addison here, I wonder if he could get into a weight room, get into an NFL style weight room with strength and conditioning coaches, and that he
Yeah.
could put on some muscle. I mean, he's obviously a smaller frame guy. He's never going to become DK Metcalf, but
Right. Right.
but I love the fact that he catches everything. He has a quick, good on routes. He has speed, so I'd be happy
DK
with Addison, to
Metcalf.
be honest with you.
I don't know that there's going to be too many guys in the league that can be DK Metcalf. That dude is
No, I don't either, but that was the
he
first
is
guy, like, I thought
stout.
of like a big...
Yeah. He is stout. Yeah, if there's any DK Metcalfs in this draft, we should go after them.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's rule number one. Yeah, I like him. Who's the next guy we got here?
North Carolina, Josh Downs, junior out of North Carolina, 21 years old, 5'9", 171, 4.4 speed. I mean, whew.
A lot
we
of
like this
fast guys in this draft.
Yeah, fast. I mean, in the second round, they're fast. That's good.
Hmm.
He's another guy who I think is a playmaker waiting to happen. He's builds up speed quickly. He's good with the ball in the air, able to track it down nicely. Solid route runner. In the NFL, route running really gets you open. Yes, speed does too, but route running does as well. And
Yeah,
again, playmaker. Sorry.
no. I was just gonna say he reminds me a lot of like Tyler Lockett,
Mm-hmm.
that type of receiver where yeah, he's a little small, but he's strong. He's got a great like catch radius. He can get up high,
Mm-hmm.
and he's fast. I think that's a guy. That's a guy we haven't had in a while, honestly.
Yep.
That type of receiver, really, since Steve Smith. And I'm not saying Tyler Lockett and Steve Smith are the same guy. Steve Smith, obviously, in a league of his own when it comes to a player at that size,
Yeah.
but just being able to do that kind of thing. And he's actually a really good red zone target as well. Just
Yeah.
even at that size, he's a great red zone target, much like Steve Smith was. So I think this is a very realistic possibility. I think he's kind of in mocks at least, and some of the analysts are saying mid-second round guy. That works.
Yeah, and he produced at his whole time in North Carolina too, which I think is impressive as well. I mean, granted, they've had good quarterbacks there for surprisingly for North Carolina, Sam Howell and Drake May, but he
Yeah.
produced. That's something not all these guys have done in college. Which, again, it could be the quarterback play, it could be the coaching. So, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I'd be
mean,
happy with Downs.
Yeah, and I think that's a positive is that he's played with a quarterback who will be in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
right? He knows how to catch NFL type balls. So I do like him. And I'm a Carolina fan, but I would be happy to have a guy like him on the team.
I would too.
Next we're going to go to Houston, and we're going to talk about Nathaniel Dale, wide receiver out of Houston, 5'8", 165, smallest guy we've talked about yet. Another 4'4" guy, he's 4'9". Now this might be a guy that we're looking at primarily, at least at first, as a special teams guy. Which, by the way, remember, who else was a special teams guy when he first got on the team? Little guy named Steve
J.J.
Smith.
Jansen.
No, that is true. But this is a guy who's very dangerous in the return game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But another like small, twitchy, quick guy. And you better be at 5'8", 165.
You better.
Honestly. But again, good hands. Can make defenders miss. He's another one of these guys. But because of his height, I think he goes a little later.
Yeah, and he's not very good at route running. Another thing,
Mm-hmm.
he needs to work on that. At 23 years old, not the end of the world, but I think
Mm-hmm.
for the second round, I don't want somebody that has so many question marks in route running and on your sides. It's like, ooh, that's going to be nerve-wracking. But he does have speed, so, and playmaking
And
ability in returning. So,
excuse me. He actually led the nation in receiving over the last 2 years.
oh,
2,700 yards receiving and 29 touchdowns. So he is a productive wide receiver.
well,
Now again, at Houston, I'm not sure who he's playing. I'm not, I don't even know what division Houston is in, but
is that the MAC?
it's not a mid-major, I don't think. It's a D1 school, but again, a guy that when you watch his film, he looks good, he's fast, he's quick, fast and quick, different things. I would say he's more quick than fast, but good hands, and he'll be there. He'll definitely be there. This is a guy who could be there, like if the Panthers decide to trade back
Mm-hmm.
to, mid to late second round, pick up some extra picks. I could see him being a target.
Yeah. I could see that too, especially drop it back for him.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, Michael Wilson, redshirt senior out of Stanford, 23 years old, 6'2", 213, but a 4.58 speed. Great route runner, and with that speed, that's what the way you get open. Good size. Again, in this plethora of smaller, faster guys, he's a bigger guy. Has good speed, not top end, but 4.58's not slow, and impressive. Like overall athletic type of guy who could break stuff open. So
Yeah. Yeah, but when you look at his stats, right, and let's just look at his stats real quick. This is a 5-year player, okay?
yeah,
Year 1, 14 catches. Year 2, 56 catches. Year 3, 19 catches. Year 4, 19 catches. Year 5, 26 catches. What does that tell you?
he has a lot of injury concern.
Misses a lot of games. Yeah. That would be his main weakness, I would say. Is just he's incredibly injury prone throughout his college career, and that getting into an NFL training system and weight training, nutrition, things like that can help. And I don't know enough about him to know what type of injuries he had, but just looking at that would cause me some concern.
No, I agree. And honestly, with us already have Terrace Marshall Jr., I would kind of lean more towards the speedier guys who have better hands
Yeah.
than Michael Wilson. Just because I feel like Terrace Marshall, who can stretch the field, I feel like Michael Wilson is very similar. But again, I mean, these are day two prospects that are receivers. So I've added them all.
Well, I could see him maybe even being like a third round pick potential.
Yeah.
Maybe late third round even. So, all right, next guy we're talking about out of SMU, Rashee Rice, another senior, 6'1", 204. So another kind of, I wouldn't say big guy, but bigger than some of the guys we've been talking about. 4'5", 40, so fast. Not a not a track star, but certainly fast enough. He's kind of a big guy, right?
Hmm.
Got sort of a running back type frame. Um, High point talent is very apparent, which I believe means he can go up and get the ball, Jerry.
Yes.
Something I feel like we've been missing here. Again, Terrace Marshall, I think, has the ability to do
And he
that.
did show that a few times last
Hmm.
year when,
Yeah,
you know, when they would throw to
he
him.
just hasn't had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm looking between drafting a guy like this or giving Terrace Marshall, you know, uh, 110 targets, give me that
Yeah.
second option. Like, let me see what we've got in him. But hey, he's good off the line. Rasheed Rice, a solid option for somebody.
Yeah. And one thing he did do is last year he had 1,300 yards. So,
Hmm.
I mean, he has the ability to produce, but it wasn't before that. I mean, 600 and 600 in his 2 years previous to that. So, and then he's not a speed guy. He's
Hmm.
fast, but not fast, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
also, something I
but
also read about him is sometimes he gets very lazy on his routes. So
mm,
that makes me worried about his commitment. Maybe not to the game, but if you don't see the bunch of targets, you could kind of slack off on a route or two.
yeah, I mean, he certainly put up some numbers, but here's some of the opponents that SMU played last year. North Texas. Sorry, something popped up here.
Hey,
Lamar.
should I try to name the mascot of these teams? Because I don't even know North Texas, and I could kind of visualize it's a green and silver type of logo.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and I'll give you two guesses for North Texas.
Eagles.
No,
Uh,
you'll never get it. You will never get it.
Spider
I'm not even gonna.
monkeys.
The Mean Green.
Oh yeah, yeah, def.
Yeah. We've got Lamar, the Lamar Cardinals.
Okay, yeah. I
He
didn't even
did
know that
play.
was a school.
They did play Maryland, and he had 193 receiving yards against Maryland. Pretty good. UCF, Navy, Tulsa, South Florida. You know, not like football elite when you're
Mm-mm.
talking about some of their opponents, but still, he produced.
Those are
And
decent opponents. Like the last group of them, Lamar was not
mm,
one of them, but
yeah, I mean, 10 touchdowns. I just didn't want a guy that can catch touchdowns. I feel like we've been missing like a red zone threat receiver
do you not
for
think
a long
Hayden
time.
Hurst is going to be that? I think he is. That's why I'm asking. And then I think also Terrace Marshall could. I'm really hoping Terrace Marshall breaks out this year. Maybe that's just me looking
I
at
hope
this
so. And
team.
Thielen is,
Hmm.
a proven touchdown receiver. Shark, if he stays healthy, I feel like can get touchdowns. So, it's not doom and gloom by any stretch, but I'd like to I'd like to get somebody in here that we can trust in the red zone, that our rookie quarterback can trust in the red zone. So, who else we got?
Jalen Hyatt, junior out of Tennessee, 21 years old, 6 foot, 176 pounds. They're a slim guy. 4'4" though.
Hmm.
He is 6 foot with 176, so he's got a slim, long frame, but he has that speed that can break it off the roof. I can't speak, guys. I'm sorry. Um,
Yeah, I don't know that he's the guy that makes it to us. I think he's
really?
projected to be like a mid to late first round pick.
See, I keep seeing him later.
Yeah.
PFF has him at 77.
Okay. Yeah, some of the websites that I look at have him rated a little higher, but again, who knows? Last year we thought that Matt Corral could go in the first round. He went pick,
Hmm.
99 or whatever it was. So, um, who knows with these guys? But yeah, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh no! I didn't know some people had him going that high. Most things I saw were he 60 to 70s
Hmm.
prospect ranking. So,
Yeah,
um,
I like him.
big play machine. He could. like I said, he could break anything off. Um, yards after catch, obviously, he's a
Mhm.
little bit bigger height wise, so that's nice in this group. Um, if you give him space, he's gonna make a play with it. Um, now weakness is again 176 at 6 foot is woo.
Mhm.
And could he be a number one, or is he just gonna be stuck into that slot or number two type of guy?
Yeah, I think he might be a number one. I mean, he has the elite track speed. He's been timed at a 4.3140. He's run the 100 meter, the 200 meter. Like he is a track, I wouldn't say track star, but he is he's got track speed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's going to be able to beat virtually any DB in the league, in just straight foot race, which I think might be why he could go earlier than 39. But I think if he's at 39, I think the Panthers should really take a look because somebody with that type of elite speed, like
Oh yeah,
again, we talked about it last year, right? When you're looking at some of these guys, maybe not necessarily second, third round, but guys kind of later on. But I think it could apply earlier too. You're looking for elite traits, right? Guys that have the one thing that separates them from everyone else. I feel like this is his elite trait is just he is a freaking burner.
yeah.
So I'd like to see it.
Well, here I'm gonna read another Nick Khan here. Sorry, just because I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
add
go
this,
ahead.
but I just saw this one. It says he only really ran vertical routes, especially
Hmm.
for the slot. So his route tree is not excessive. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to teach him routes. So I think it's mid second. I would be okay with it, but like I'm nervous about a guy who doesn't know how to run a bunch of routes.
Well, not necessarily
Or
that he doesn't know how. He wasn't asked to do it in college.
yeah,
Um, I don't know what kind of scheme they ran there. Well, he's in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, Tennessee has that weird type of. That's one thing Hendon Hooker's getting a lot of knock on too. Is
Yeah.
that so?
Yeah.
But I mean, he produced. He won the Blitnikoff this year. So
Yeah, I mean he's a really good player. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he goes before 39. Um, Based on what you're saying, I guess it wouldn't surprise me if he is there in the third round when we pick. So I don't know.
it's gonna
But
fall to one of those guys who, what coaching staff thinks? Oh yeah, we could bulk this guy up by 15
mhm.
pounds of muscle, and he could be our number one guy in the future. He has the speed. If you could get great route running, I mean that's a dangerous weapon.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about another North Carolina based guy here out of Wake Forest, A.T. Perry, 6'3", 198, so a bit of a bigger receiver. Still fast, 4.47. But hey, having a tall, fast receiver, sign me up, right? He's got a
Yeah.
big catch radius. Um, you know, uh, Here another guy that didn't have the biggest route tree in
Mm-hmm.
college, but went to Wake Forest. I don't know that you're really expecting him to be in like a pro style offense and run the complicated route trees.
I think
But
Wake Forest actually does run a lot of pro style, but
dude, I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't watch a lot of Wake Forest football.
I paid
Let us
attention to
know in the
Sam.
comments.
Yeah, I was gonna say I paid attention to Sam Hartman from their quarterback.
Mm,
So who will be
guy
Notre
that you're
Dame's quarterback this year?
okay, okay, guy you're targeting in the draft maybe next year.
No, not at all.
Okay,
He's not.
okay.
He's a backup type of NFL guy.
Yeah. Some of the other pros that we've seen from this guy is that he has a pretty good route running skills. Um, from what he was asked to do, at least he's physical through the route, and has a pretty good catch radius. Is able to kind of wiggle out of tackles, things like that. So another good possibility, kind of late in the second,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even mid third. So
Yeah, I one thing he does need to work on is contested catching. One thing you said you wanted red zone target.
mhm.
He's not as dominant as that he should be at 6'3".
Mm.
So, all right, moving on.
Yeah.
Cedric
Ooh.
Tillman, redshirt senior out of Tennessee. Two Tennessee guys back to pretty close. 22 years
Yeah,
old, 6'3", 213, 4.5 speed. I love how I say 4.5 speed and think, God, he's kind
I
of
like it.
slow. And then
Not as
compare,
fast as some of the. Well, I mean, it's true. Like we're all talking about all these 4.4 guys. 4.5 is plenty fast.
yeah.
Like let's not kid ourselves. It's faster than you and I have ever run in our lives.
Oh no.
So,
Oh, side quest. Okay, real
oh,
quickly. I used to work at a
sure.
restaurant,
Side quest.
and this cook. I don't want to be mean, but he was a fat guy.
Hmm.
And this was back when Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Double Trouble were there, and he
Yep.
was like talking about a guy like running a 4.7. It was like, oh, I can't believe that guy could only run. He's like, I could run a 4.5 easy. I laughed so hard. I was like, these guys are elite athletes. These linemen can outrun us, guys. Let's not
Hmm.
kid ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were gonna tell me that like you timed him and he ran like a 4.3 or something.
No, 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 not at
Yeah.
all. I wanted to.
Okay.
I tried to get him to run it. I was like, let's do this. Let's see what
I
you can do.
once when I was in my early 20s and in much better shape than I am now, I worked with a guy who was also a bigger guy, and we were talking about tennis one day. And I never played tennis
Mm-hmm.
a lot. I played for fun, but never for school or anything. But I was like, this guy, I could tear this guy up just on effort alone. We went out to the tennis court one night. He kicked my ass. Like he destroyed me. He was fast. He was I couldn't believe it. I almost quit the job. I was so embarrassed. Like it's crazy. But that just goes to show that don't judge a book by its cover. You know, uh I don't know where I was going with that, but good
Yeah.
story.
Well, no. Well, I still remember you when we first started knew each other. You had a
Mhm.
foot race with a colleague of ours in our parking lot,
Oh yeah.
and you tripped and fell, and skinned up your knee, and it's on tape, and it was hilarious. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. We did watch that back on the security tape.
All right, we're running out of
I've
time.
definitely blocked that out of my mind. Thanks for bringing that back, Jerry.
Well, we were talking about
Um,
racing. I had to.
yeah. So yeah, Cedric Tillman again. Maybe not the uh, number one Tennessee receiver taken on the board here,
No.
but I think a guy that's got some skills. He'll play in the NFL. He'll
Mm-hmm.
have potential to be pretty good. He's 6'3", 213. Can't teach height. Can't teach size. So he's got that going for him. Um, all right. Any other thoughts on him?
Uh, big catch radiuses. Again, he's a third round guy in my eyes. Like
Mm,
he has potential to become better than his current stats. He's never going to be a breakaway deep threat, but he can beat you
yeah.
with his route running and his size.
Yeah, he missed a few games in 2022 from injuries as well. So who knows what he could have shown had he played a full season,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see. All right, so two more here. Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma, a junior, 5'11", 183, 4.38. So there's your 4.3 guy. Strengths, he's got great body control down the field. Does a good job of tracking the ball. He's got obviously the burner speed. He's going to blow by anybody that thinks they're going to be able to run with him. Good hands, but he's not perfect, Jerry. What are some of the weaknesses that you
Well,
see?
again, not shockingly, lean. So bigger corners can reroute him.
Yeah.
Unable to sustain blocks. I love this. On almost all these smaller guys, it said unable to run block well. I'm like, well, yeah, you're 5'9", 160, and a corner 6'1" or 6 foot, 190. Yeah, it'd be
Mm-hmm.
hard, guys. But
Yeah.
and his arm length isn't as long as you would like for an NFL receiver, which doesn't necessarily mean that he can't play in the NFL. He's not
True.
T
True.
Rex.
His arms are long enough,
Yeah.
probably. Just that
Um,
catch radius might not be as high as some others.
Yeah, he's got that speed to out. Now, this guy I think would be a nice little third round pick, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if he did any returning in college, but typically guys with that kind of speed and good hands are Usually thrown out there to return punts or something. Wouldn't mind seeing that as an option as well. I don't know who our return guy is going to be this year. Um,
A Shy
so
Smith right now would be
right,
penciled in.
right. So it wouldn't surprise me if they draft.
Hmm.
I'll say it will surprise me if they don't draft a wide receiver in the second or third round. It would surprise me if they don't draft one. What about you? Do you think that they're pretty much guaranteed to draft somebody
I
in
think
the second or
edge
third?
rusher and wide receiver will be drafted 2, 3, 4. They like. I think edge rusher. I think edge rusher is going to fall to us. I think not premier. That's the wrong
Mhm.
term, but
Like a
I think
Yetur Gross
around
Matos type.
like a round one talent could fall to
Mm.
us, and I think that's what we're going to get in the second round. Which I just the way it works out, and I think you could get a good receiver in the third round.
Oh, Fitter has said that second round is probably going to be best player available, obviously with
Oh yeah,
caveats. They're not going to draft a quarterback in the second round, but
yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, I could see almost any other position, maybe not long snapper, but I could see wide receiver, tight end, corner, edge, linebacker. I could see any of those being the pick. So that's gonna be interesting. But all right, last guy here. I don't remember if I went or you went, so you go
Uh,
ahead.
Kayshawn Boot. I think that's how you say it. Junior
Boot.
out of LSU, 20 years old, 5'11", 195, 4.5 speed. Um, this
Slow.
guy, well, he has a lot of talent, but he was injured this year or last
Mm.
year and hasn't really recovered from it. He's a
Ah.
guy, in my opinion, probably should have went back, but or transferred to a better passing offense. I don't know, but he's a fluid runner with good top end speed. Uh, he builds up speed. That's the thing. Is he's not quick off the line. Strong hands,
Mm.
physical, tough. Negatives. His hands, he's got the case of some drops. He's 8% had drops. So
Ooh,
not good. And that
not
leg
good.
injury, after that leg injury, he doesn't seem the same. That's why I said this guy probably should have went back. I think this guy, if he fell, I kind of added this guy as a sneaky, hey, if he falls to like late third, fourth,
Mm.
this guy would be a nice little pickup, I think, that maybe could come in not right away and kind of get back to where he was his first couple seasons.
Yeah, I mean another LSU receiver that has some injury concerns. I mean we've gone down that route.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jury's still out on if TMJ is that guy or not, but um, yeah, his first year, 45 catches, 735 yards, and five
Yeah, as a
touchdowns.
freshman.
That's really good as a freshman.
And then
And I
his
think,
next year he
I mean,
started
TMJ
doing
was
that.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then he got injured and doesn't know. That's why I said I think this guy should have went back,
yeah.
especially with
Third,
NIL. Yeah,
38 catches in 2021, nine of them were touchdowns. That's pretty good
yeah.
percentage of catches becoming touchdowns. Like 30, what, 20, over 20%. So pretty good. All right. Any other thoughts? Anything else you wanted to talk about here?
Not on wide receivers right now. We'll do a day three kind of cherry picking position people, but I figured this would be a fun way to look at our other needs and
Mhm.
a little bit deeper pool in it. So, hope you liked it.
Yeah, yeah. Let us know in the comments if there's any guys we missed that. Again, we're specifically talking second day here,
Third, yeah.
but yeah, second, third round. But anybody that you guys think could fall or maybe is being undervalued, let us know. And maybe we'll talk about them. Maybe we won't. Depends on if we think you're crazy or not.
Well,
We'll
I
see.
mean, I thought I was shocked when you were saying Hyatt was round one potential. I was like,
I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen him mocked in round one. I've seen other, reputable draft websites talk about him as a mid first round pick. So we'll see. I
yeah.
mean,
I
everybody's
mean,
wrong this time of year.
yeah.
So
I mean, I did as much deep diving as I can, working full time and a kid, but, I
yeah.
went through multiple websites and draft profiles and reading up on them. kind of came to these consensus. But hopefully
Yeah.
that works. And now you know a little bit more of some day two wide receivers when they get picked.
Now you know a little more. And when Jerry and I do our mock draft, our first mock draft of the year very soon, we might pick one of these guys in the second round. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, Jerry, I think that's going to do it.
Yep. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show.
Like I said, we'll be back very soon with our first mock draft of the year. After that, I don't know. We may do a day 2, day 3 edge. We may
Yeah,
talk some.
that's what I was thinking. Mostly
Okay.
because I'm getting excited for the edge rushers.
hmm Yeah, Jerry, big into edging. So we'll talk about that. And so everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.